We tease our good friend Scott Keith that he would rather shoot a bull mallard than a bull elephant. And we might be right. Scott is the owner of Quack Shack Duck Calls, and this guy is a duck hunter's duck hunter. But he's also serious about all his other hunting.
As long as I've known Scott, he's been talking about putting together a good bull elk hunt out west. And this year he did just that by booking a hunt with outfitter Matt Christmas on his family's historic Christmas ranch, located just north of Santa Fe, New Mexico.
As you know, I'm an elk hunting fanatic, and I always enjoy seeing a hunter, especially a friend like Scott, put a deadline to his dream and go on a hunt that he has been thinking about for years. These kind of adventures can be amongst our most treasured.
We're headed to the rolling foothills of New Mexico as our buddy Scott Keith and Matt Christmas enjoy a classic spot-and-stalk hunt for the bull elk Scott has been dreaming of. We're in good country with good friends. All we need now is some good weather and maybe a bit of good luck. Let's see how it all plays out next on Trigicon's World of Sports Afield.
We are rolling through the Texas Panhandle. We're about 30 miles from the New Mexico line. We got up early this morning to kind of mosey in our way to Las Vegas, New Mexico to meet our outfitter, Matt Christmas. This trip's kind of my 50th birthday present to myself. I've done a ton of whitetail hunting. Of course, you know all the duck hunting I do, but kind of wanted to break out of my comfort zone. I've always wanted to go elk hunting, so I'm going to treat myself. So many people go to Colorado, Montana, not that there's anything wrong with it. And I've been to those states as well too, hunting for other things. But something about New Mexico just is, it's in my soul. It's kind of in my DNA. So when I come here to do my first elk hunt ever, there was no other state on the list for an elk hunt. Okay, camera is rolling. Oh gosh. Good to finally meet you.
I tend to drive fast.
You know, growing up in Texas and in the South, I've always been a whitetail hunter and a duck hunter. And elk hunting was a whole new animal to me. This year I told myself, I want to go and I want to hunt elk up in the mountains, up in the high country. So this year I made that dream a reality and I booked a hunt with Matt Christmas on the Christmas Ranch.
So my family operation, we run yearling cattle and we'll stock cattle from late spring to early fall. And typically after we ship our cattle, then our hunting operation really takes place. My grandfather bought the ranch in the 1940s and we've hunted primarily elk, antelope, and mule deer here. We do some limited bear hunting and the occasional lion. Elk and antelope are really our primary game that we run.
We're all dialed in, ready to go. Matt had us shooting at a target, what is that, 125 yards? Right at 100, steel target. Primary gun and backup gun are all sighted in. We're set to go.
Tomorrow we'll get up, obviously do our breakfast, all that stuff.
Okay.
And then we'll leave probably about 6 o'clock. And we'll drive up on top over here. And there's a pretty good little vantage point and we can see most of this mountain over here. And then there's several other big clearings. And they've been coming out and feeding in those clearings pretty heavy.
You ready?
On you?
First morning out, running a little bit behind. We had the time change last night that we all kind of forgot about. So we're just a smidge late, but we're
fixing to head out and go start seeing some elk.
This is pretty freaking awesome. I like this. I like being able to get back and just watch. You know, it's so different because I'm normally bow hunting and stuff in the timber and stuff. So it's, you got to be extra still and quiet, and they're right on top of you. But being able to judge, you know, field judge everything through the scope is awesome. First morning out, we haven't been out less than 45 minutes, have we? I've already seen 18 bulls. We're gonna leave these bulls alone because they're not gonna go anywhere. And there's some, what do you call them, last day bulls in that group. This looks promising.
That mesa there is Wagon Mountain.
Okay.
So the Santa Fe Trail goes between the two of them. And this big open mountain where we saw the bulls, that's a volcano. Those are the vents for the volcano.
Okay.
So when people were coming on the Santa Fe Trail, that looks like a covered wagon. That's how it got its name,
Yeah.
Wagon Mountain.
So the trail goes right between those two.
It goes right through, and then when we were driving up the hill coming up here this morning, we were on the Santa Fe.
Oh, wow. That is so cool. I'm a history buff as it is, especially Western history, and just to be here hunting where the Santa Fe Trail is pretty awesome. So we got the first morning is in the salt. We saw a total of 20 bulls total. One herd of cows. It's fun learning. You know, I'm used to whitetail hunting, but these bulls, they come out, they feed, and then they're back in the timber pretty quick in the morning times. So we'll be back at it. We're gonna drive around the ranch and then head in and get breakfast. And couldn't ask for a better first morning, I can tell you that.
So Scott, obviously when we were driving in here, we saw these two little bulls.
Yeah.
And they trotted over the hill. So this other group that you saw down here, which very good eye, by the way, we're gonna slip around. We're gonna get out of the truck and slip around to the road. It's really, really rare to see elk down this close. I mean, they're really close to I-25.
Yeah.
Way out in the open, so it's not really common. So we're gonna get out of the truck and slip down to these trees, and it looks like there's about 15 for sure, and get a good look at them. And just hopefully there's something big and nice it wants to be.
We were headed to some canyon land back in the northwest corner of the ranch. Well, to get to that canyon, you had to go through a 6,000 acre just open pasture with about 10 trees. That was it in this pasture. And as we're driving through this pasture to go to the canyon, I look, and about 1,000 yards off, I see a herd of bull elk. Matt stopped the truck and said, "Hey, we need to try to make a stalk on these bulls."
Matt's gonna peek over this little knob. We had a herd of pronghorn between us and the elk. The pronghorn spooked. We are hoping that they haven't messed up the elk.
Luckily, they did not spook the elk. We make it to the sole patch of trees that are out in this field, and we're about 200 yards from this herd of bull elk.
Is that one closest to it just broken up?
These chick ones are about that long.
Oh, okay. They're starting to move. Okay.
He's got to finish his out road.
They're looking out towards the road. It wasn't us that spooked them, I don't think.
Those first two bulls we saw, it was too dark. They seemed smaller, but it was too dark. And after seeing these guys, there's nothing in this group that's really, really like a 3x3 or a small young bull. Everything here is 5x and bigger. But there's a lot of busted up bulls.
Yeah.
I think we need to pass everything here for sure. We'll go back to the other side where we were yesterday morning and make them grow.
That was an awesome stalk.
Having been hunting and with guides before, you know, on the second day, you got to take your guide's advice. Even though I would have been ecstatic with this elk and happy with this elk, I'm not sure Matt would have been happy with it.
We're going back, we're going to see if we can't find those bulls that are up on the hill that we saw up on the top of that bald mountain this morning. We got quite a trek to go, but we're going to kind of still hunt our way down to the point where we got a good vantage point, and who knows, we may cross a couple of bulls or some bulls in a couple other likely spots as well too. So it's a beautiful day to be hunting, I can tell you that.
In the afternoons when you go up, I wasn't anticipating much at all. Bulls and cows were scarce. It was most of the time you're just glassing beautiful country and relaxing. And I enjoy that because New Mexico is one of my favorite states. And it's so beautiful and relaxing just to be out in that nature. And it is cool because a lot of times we did see some bulls, we saw some cows, we were able to mark where they went, and then we were able to follow up on them the next morning. Day 3, we went back to where we started in day 1, just to glass. And we sat there and we saw nothing. So Matt said, hey, I'm gonna leave you two here, and I'm gonna go check this canyon that's about a mile away from here and see if there's anything moving through that canyon. And wouldn't you know, about 20 minutes later, Matt comes huffing and puffing right back to where we are, and he says, hey, I found some bulls. So I grab my gun, grab my pack, Cameron grabs his camera, and we take off with Matt heading to this canyon. We get over to the canyon and we find the bulls exactly where Matt had left them. And I'm guessing there were 5 or 6. They were moving in and out of the timber on a hillside right where this little valley was. And we set up in a perfect spot in case they came out in that field, we were gonna get a shot. One of the things about elk hunting that I learned very quickly is 1,000,000 things have to go right in order to kill an elk. It's not like whitetail deer hunting where you can just kind of luck your way into it. Literally, it seemed like every time we made the right move, it turned out to be the wrong move. Every time we zigged, they zagged. And it was no different with these bulls in this canyon. We get set up in a perfect spot, and wouldn't you know it, the only bull that comes out into the field and drinks in the water tank is the youngest bull of the group, and the big Muy Grande elk stayed back up in the woods and we never got a shot. I have to admit, I was pretty dejected. I had been told that elk hunting can break a man. It's a hard sport. It's hard stalking. So many things have to go right, like I said before, in order for you to score on an elk. And I was down. We were down. We had one more morning to hunt. We couldn't hunt the next evening because we had a massive storm that was going to be rolling in. So we had an 1.5-hour window. We had to make it happen on the last morning.
Trigicon's World of Sports Afield has been presented by Trigicon, brilliant aiming solutions. DSC, conservation, education, and protecting hunters' rights. Hornady, accurate, deadly, dependable. Boyd Harness Company, Mud River, travel, train, hunt. Ripcord Rescue Travel Insurance. Sports Afield Trophy Properties, the Wildlife Gallery, and by Sam Hunter Training, because you only get one first shot.
So for the last morning, Matt made the call. He said, listen, we're going back to where we went the very first morning where we saw those bulls. He said our odds are best there. We've got the best glassing advantage from that point because we can scout 2 or 3 different fields in the side of a mountain from that point. So we get there, and no sooner had the sun started peeking up, we could see elk about, I don't know, 1,500 yards away from us. So we grab our stuff and we start hauling. And I'm glad I did all the fitness training before I went on this hunt, because we were huffing and puffing and we were blowing and going.
After a long stalk, we're within 500 yards of a herd of elk. We got the wind right. They're in the wide open. It's just a matter of how close we can get. Breathing cold, you're sweating like crazy. Elk can definitely move faster than human beings.
No, they left. See this behind the trees right here? We're gonna loop around and try to get on the other side of it. Okay. They're more or less feeding.
We start running into elk at every turn in the corner. And each one of the elk that we run into had the potential to blow our stalk and alert all the other bulls. But this is one of those deals where a million things went right and nothing went wrong on this stalk. And each time we would run into elk, the elk would run a direction that didn't spook the bulls that we were after. So it was a miracle that this thing even took place.
That's him right there.
Where is he?
I don't know.
Let's get right here. Get right here. So they're behind this tree. When they feed out, they're being 2 or 3.
Okay, let me use your shoulder. Feel it. The back one. He's looking at us.
No, he's not. Just like this.
He's looking behind. Can I have your shoulder? Here he goes. Here he goes.
Take a step.
I'm sure.
How far? Okay, yeah.
Hammer. Get another shell.
You thumped him, and he's.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's a perfect shot. That's a perfect shot.
I tell you, this bull really choked me up. And I've gotten to hunt everywhere. I've gotten to hunt in Africa. I've been to Montana. I've been to Alaska. I've done all kind of cool, fun outdoor stuff. But I've never harvested an animal that touched my soul as much as this elk.
Thank you. Holy mackerel. Look at that sucker. Look how big they are.
He was so battled up. You could tell this bull had fought so many fights, so many wars. And I was so lucky that I was the one that had the privilege of being the first human to ever lay their hands on this bull's antlers.
That's amazing, dude.
What do you think? He's got good rolls.
Yeah. He's awesome. Look at him. God, the hair. This is beautiful. Thank you, man.
To this day, it makes me emotional, and I can promise you that I am going to be back out in the elk woods. I've gotten the bug, and it is one of the most magical hunting experiences that you can imagine.